Hi everybody. So I'm behind on our recap of our vacation. We only have 1 or 2 days left. Actually, our last full day in Prague. And we started out right around the corner at the food lab with breakfast. We all went there kind of in groups though as we got ready. From there, we Ubered up to Prague Castle. And if you go to Prague, it is an absolute must that you go there. It is what I can't think of all the words to describe it. It's amazing, it's majestic, it's historic, it's just a sight to be seen. So we went up there, Ubered up there, and then we did a self-guided tour. With that came like a 15-minute overview or intro, which is so worth it to do it that way. And then the tickets got us into 4 of the sites on the castle grounds. Tom did the audio, and so he was able to fill us in on some of the points that he was hearing through that. We went through the church, the great halls, the cottages. We had time to rest and stop. And of course, there's a Starbucks on the castle grounds. What else? And just all the views from up there. We did from there, the kids went their own direction for a while and kind of moseyed their way back into the old village, the old town square. Tom and I walked down. We hadn't been across the Charles Bridge yet with all the statues of the saints. Some you need to rub for good luck, so Tom did that and made our way through town again. We had to stop at a little store, pick up a suitcase for all the souvenirs we've gotten along the way. After that, we stopped at this one place, and I don't know how to pronounce it, but I think it's like Prince in Czech, and we went there for lunch. First of all, good lunch. If they tell you there's dumplings, it's usually bread in the gravy. So that's what we had. But the art on the table and the walls was so interesting. It was just a fun place to take a break. After that, we did our 130 steps back up to the Airbnb because the elevator, again, is broke. But we were like, okay, we're only going to have to do this a couple more times. And then that night, we did have somewhat of reservations. We went to Anonymous Shrink, and we did have to stand in line for just a few minutes. If you don't have reservations there, it's a small place. You're going to need to get there earlier in the evening. It opens at 5. We were there a few minutes before. What they do is they take those Rorschach ink blots, and then you pick the one that kind of speaks to you, and then that's the drink you get. They do tell you what's in it, so if it's something you really hate, you can pick something else. Mine was spot on. I think Tom's was absolutely not anything he would have chosen. And then everyone else was kind of a 50-50 on that. From there, our next stop was at Black Angel. For those of you who are Dan Brown fans, his last book, Secret of Secrets, talks about that restaurant. The thing is, you're not allowed to take photos there. So I took them as we were either going in or out and things around there. By this time, it was at night, so we walked through the square one last time. Stopped at the local market right by our Airbnb and picked up some snacks for the evening because we needed to make it an early night since we needed to be out and headed to the airport by 6 a.m. the following morning. And that was our last full day. We were all exhausted. I will recap our trip home and kind of the highlights and the lowlights of the trip on my next video. That's it for now. See you later.